My brother stole my inheritance. Well, I covered his bills, so I exposed him and claimed what was rightfully mine without regret. I'm a 29-year-old guy, and for most of my life, I've been the responsible one while my older brother, Liam, drifted from mistake to mistake. Growing up, I always felt like I had to hold things together. My parents worked long hours and money was tight, so I learned early how to stretch a dollar and solve problems without asking for help. Liam, on the other hand, had this magnetic charm that let him skate through every mess. He was the type who'd crash a car, smile sheepishly, and somehow still get a pat on the back for surviving. Meanwhile, I was the one cleaning up the wreck. When Liam couldn't make rent, I sent him money, even when it meant skipping my own meals. When he maxed out a credit card, I paid it down to protect my credit, because we had co-signed when he swore he'd be responsible. Even when he got arrested for a DUI, I was the one who bailed him out and drove him home, while he slurred, "Thanks, bro. You always got me." Our parents never saw it for what it was. They'd say things like, "Liam just needs time," or "He's got potential if he'd just get serious." But potential doesn't pay bills. I'd be the one picking up extra shifts, while Liam spent weekends partying. Still, I told myself this was just how family worked. You carried each other when it got heavy. I didn't expect gratitude, but I also didn't expect to overhear him at a party telling his friends, "My little bro's basically my wallet. Dude's loyal to a fault." That stung more than I let on. Loyal to a fault. That line kept echoing in my head, long after the party ended. I didn't know it yet, but that was the first crack in everything I believed about what it meant to be a brother. My dad's decline happened slowly at first. Missed steps, short breaths, confusion that didn't match his age. I remember sitting beside him in that dim hospital room, the antiseptic smell burning my nose, while machines hummed like they were whispering countdowns. Liam visited twice in the first month. Twice. Each time he stayed no more than 15 minutes, leaving with some dramatic sigh about how hospitals mess with his energy. Meanwhile, I slept in that stiff chair almost every night. One evening, when the hallway lights were low and nurses' voices faded into background murmurs, my dad reached for my arm. His hand felt colder than it ever had. "Son, I need you to listen," he whispered. "Yeah, Dad, I'm here," I said, leaning closer. "You've carried this family far longer than Liam ever will. I updated the will. Everything I have, it's yours. I want you to build the life you've earned." I remember freezing, not out of greed, but disbelief. I didn't ask for anything. I never hinted. I just did what needed to be done. Hearing him acknowledge it, the years of sacrifice, the quiet, burdens, that hit harder than anything. I nodded because I couldn't speak without choking up. The heart monitor beeped steadily, as if confirming the truth he'd finally spoken aloud. At the funeral, Liam showed up late, reeking of beer, sunglasses on, like he was attending a celebrity red carpet. He wrapped an arm around me and muttered, "You think Dad loved you more because you played nurse? Don't get cocky." Our mother quickly pulled him away, whispering excuses for him the way she always did. No one mentioned the will that day. The lawyer had told me to keep things quiet until everything was processed. I thought keeping the peace was the right thing. But looking back, maybe that silence was the moment everything started to go wrong. A week after the funeral, I sat across from our family lawyer in his office, the air heavy with that mix of old books and polished wood. I expected him to walk me through the estate, confirm what my dad had told me in that hospital room, maybe hand me a few documents to sign. Instead, he looked at me with this tight, uncomfortable expression, like he was about to break bad news he had no part in creating. "Before we begin," he said slowly, "I need to ask, did your father ever mention changing his will again?" I felt my stomach drop. "No. He updated it last month. I was with him when he did." He exhaled sharply. "Then we have a problem. A new will was submitted yesterday. Everything is left to Liam." For a moment, I honestly thought he was joking. My ears rang, and the room felt like it tilted slightly to the left. "That's impossible," I whispered. "My dad couldn't even hold a pen the week before he died." The lawyer shook his head. "I checked the signatures. It appears valid on the surface, but the timing, it doesn't add up." I drove straight to my parents' house, rage buzzing under my skin like static electricity. Liam was on the couch, feet up, scrolling his phone like a king on a throne. "You changed Dad's will," I said, my voice low. He looked up, smirked, and shrugged. "Dad made things fair. You were getting too self-righteous." "That's a lie. Believe what you want," he said, turning back to his phone. The lawyer already filed it. Too late now. What hit harder wasn't his denial. It was hearing our mother from the kitchen, calling out, "Your father wanted Liam to have another chance. Don't ruin this with jealousy." Jealousy. That word sliced deeper than any accusation, and as I stood there, betrayed, cornered, and suddenly unsure of everything, I realized this wasn't just a forged document. It was the beginning of a war I never wanted to fight. I couldn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw my dad's face in that hospital bed, frail but firm, saying, "It's yours, son." My gut told me something was wrong. The will Liam submitted had the right dates and a notary stamp, but it didn't feel right. I dug through the paperwork Dad left me, a manila folder he'd told me to keep safe with old tax forms, insurance info, and a scanned PDF of the original will dated just 3 weeks before he passed. That version left everything to me. The house, the land, his savings. Not out of favoritism, but out of recognition. I brought both versions to a friend of mine, Erica, who works at a small legal office. I didn't want to launch accusations unless I was absolutely sure. She studied the two wills and said quietly, "The signature on this new one is shaky, like someone tried to copy it." Then she pointed to the notary's name. "This guy hasn't been active for over a year. I remember. We flagged his license last quarter. He's not even certified anymore." My pulse thundered in my ears. I was holding proof. Real, legal proof. But then I thought of my mom, still clinging to Liam's defense, and the years I spent swallowing my pride to keep the family from falling apart. Maybe I could talk to Liam. Maybe he'd come clean if I gave him the chance. So I called him. "Liam, we need to talk. I know about the will. I know it's fake." He didn't even hesitate. "So what if it is? No one's gonna care, little bro. You think you're the only one who knows how to play dirty?" Then he hung up. That was the moment I realized I hadn't just lost an inheritance. I'd lost my brother. And I wasn't sure I could get either one back. Even after that call, I couldn't bring myself to go nuclear. I told myself I needed more time, more evidence, more clarity. But the truth? I was still clinging to the hope that Liam might feel guilty and do the right thing. Meanwhile, bills kept showing up in my name. Ones Liam had racked up years ago when I co-signed for his apartment and bailed him out of a credit mess. I paid them off silently, again, just to protect my credit, even as he paraded around like a winner. I saw him a week later, pulling up to our dad's house, my house, in a brand new silver Dodge Challenger, music blaring, sunglasses on, revving the engine like he was starring in a movie. "You like it?" he shouted across the driveway. Dad would have wanted me to roll in style. I bit my tongue so hard I tasted blood. That same night, I scrolled through his Instagram. He had posted pictures on a boat with some friends, captioned, "New beginnings, no more dead weight." And there were comments, mutual friends, some of our cousins, saying things like, "You deserve this," and "Finally out from under your bro's shadow." That one gutted me, because I had never tried to overshadow him. I had sacrificed my savings, my sleep, and my sanity to cover his failures. Then came the breaking point. I got a call from the insurance company about the life insurance policy payout. Apparently, it had already been cashed, by Liam. When I asked how, they said he had submitted a claim as the sole beneficiary. He had stolen that too. It hit me then. Liam wasn't just manipulative, he was calculated. And every time I chose silence, I gave him permission to take more. But that silence was about to end. I was cleaning out Dad's old laptop one night, mostly to feel close to him again. The house felt hollow, like it still hadn't realized he was gone. I didn't expect to find anything, just old spreadsheets, budget files, maybe a few fishing photos. But then I opened a folder labeled Final Docs, and inside was something I didn't remember, a voice memo file, dated just 6 days before he passed. I clicked it. Dad's voice crackled through the speakers, weak but steady. "Hey, if you're hearing this, something might have gone wrong. I left the updated will with the lawyer, but in case Liam tries anything. It's all supposed to go to you, son. You earned it. I want you to have the house, the land, everything. You're the one who showed up. Don't let him guilt you into giving it up." I froze. My heart was hammering. It was undeniable proof. Not just legal intent, but my father's voice, full of clarity and conviction. I sent the file to my lawyer that night. He called me the next morning, voice sharper than I'd ever heard it. "This changes everything. We can submit it with the court as supporting evidence, but I'll need every paper trail, every inconsistency. We're building a case." That same afternoon, I drove past the house and saw Liam throwing some kind of backyard party, laughing, drinking, loud music vibrating through the fence. My jaw clenched. I remembered how he once mocked me for skipping parties to work double shifts. Now he was celebrating his theft on the same porch our dad used to sit and sip coffee at sunrise. But I didn't storm in. I didn't shout or start a fight. Because this time, I had something stronger than rage. I had the truth. And a plan. Liam had no idea the clock was ticking. While he was busy throwing barbecues and Instagramming new homeowner life, my lawyer and I were quietly gathering everything. Bank statements, emails, the original will, the voice message, even the metadata from Dad's laptop, proving the file hadn't been altered. It was like putting together a jigsaw puzzle of betrayal, each piece exposing how deep Liam's lies went. Then we struck gold. The notary listed on the fake will? He'd retired almost a year earlier, and after one phone call, he signed a sworn affidavit confirming he never notarized that document. That alone was enough to question the entire validity of the will Liam submitted. My lawyer filed an official motion to challenge the estate transfer. At the same time, I tipped off a small local journalist who covered fraud and inheritance disputes. I didn't name names. I just gave them the trail. And like clockwork, an article popped up 3 days later. Heirs beware. Forgery in family estates may be more common than you think. The timing wasn't accidental. I wanted Liam to feel the ground shift under his feet. When the court notice hit his mailbox, I got a text. Liam, what the hell are you doing? You want to ruin our family over a house? Me. You ruined it the second you forged Dad's signature. He didn't reply, but I knew him. Behind that silence was panic. I wasn't just the quiet brother anymore. I wasn't the one who paid and forgave. Now, I was the one knocking on the walls he built out of lies, and I was kicking them in. And still, the worst moment of all was still waiting for me. I thought I was ready for the first court hearing. I had the will, the evidence, the affidavit, even my dad's voice, literal proof of the truth. But I wasn't ready for how dirty Liam was willing to play. He showed up with a new lawyer and 2 witnesses who claimed to have seen Dad change his mind weeks before his death. Both were old drinking buddies I hadn't seen since high school. Guys Dad barely tolerated. And just like that, the judge delayed the ruling. Said more time was needed to verify everything. It wasn't a loss, but it didn't feel like a win either. It felt like someone punching you, then holding your arm so you couldn't hit back. Outside the courtroom, Liam lit a cigarette and looked me dead in the eyes. You think justice is about truth? He smirked. It's about proof and narrative. You've got neither. I stood there, fists clenched, throat dry. Not because I believed him, because a small, poisoned part of me feared he might be right. Days turned into weeks. My savings drained. My credit tanked. Legal fees piled up. I was dodging calls from creditors tied to debts I inherited, cleaning up his messes. And all the while, my own mother avoided me like I was the villain. She wouldn't return my calls, wouldn't meet in person. I heard from my aunt that she'd told family I was trying to sue Liam for revenge. I didn't just feel abandoned. I felt erased. Every time I looked in the mirror, I saw someone who had done everything right, every sacrifice, every burden, and still ended up alone, broke and vilified. That night, I sat in the dark, lights off, hands shaking, wondering if this was all a mistake. Maybe I should have let it go. Maybe I should have walked away. But then I heard Dad's voice again in that recording. Don't let him guilt you into giving it up. And I knew I wasn't done. The turning point came from the last place I expected, my dad's printer. I'd held on to it out of sentiment, thinking maybe I'd use it someday. It had been sitting in a box in my closet since the week he passed, but after a restless night, I pulled it out, powered it on, and checked the internal logs. And there it was, clear as day. The so-called updated will had been printed 2 days after my father died. I stared at that timestamp, heart pounding. That was it. The proof that Liam's entire story was a lie. My lawyer nearly shouted when I told him. That's ironclad, he said. Forgery with intent. Add that to the voice message and the notary's affidavit. We've got a fraud case now, not just a civil challenge. We submitted everything to the court. The printer logs, the file metadata, the original will, and a written statement from the notary. The judge called an emergency review. Liam's smirk in court vanished the moment the printer logs were introduced. His lawyer looked like he wanted to disappear into the floor. A week later, I got word. Liam's lawyer dropped him, and that wasn't all. The notary filed a formal complaint against Liam for impersonation and forgery. The court was now looking at potential criminal charges. Suddenly, the narrative flipped. Relatives who had once avoided me started sending cautious texts. I didn't know it went that far. And, if you ever want to talk. But I wasn't looking for apologies anymore. I wasn't the bitter brother. I was the one who finally stopped protecting a liar. And as the next court date approached, the one that would finally decide everything, I didn't feel fear anymore. I felt ready to finish what he started. The final hearing felt different. No whispers, no smirks, just cold air and tension thick enough to snap. I sat there, hands folded, eyes locked on Liam across the courtroom. He looked smaller somehow, pale, nervous. No designer sunglasses, no loud jokes. Just a man finally cornered by his own lies. My lawyer laid out everything in order. The original will, the invalid notary, the fake witnesses, the life insurance theft, the voice recording, and the printer logs. One by one, like dominoes falling. When the judge asked Liam if he had any response, he stammered. I was just trying to make things fair. He always had everything. I almost laughed. Me? The one who paid his rent, fixed his wreckage, carried his shame? The judge didn't buy it either. She ruled the forged will invalid and reinstated the original, transferring the house, land, and all assets to me immediately. The court also ordered Liam to repay damages, and a criminal investigation was now opened for fraud, identity misuse, and forgery. I didn't cry. I didn't even smile. I just exhaled, slow and deep, like letting go of years I didn't know I'd been holding in. Liam turned to me as they led him out of the courtroom. Enjoy it, he spat. Hope it's worth losing your family over. But I didn't lose my family. I lost a parasite, a manipulator. And what I gained was mine. Not just legally, but morally. As I walked out of the courthouse, the sunlight hit different. It wasn't warmth. It was clarity. This wasn't revenge. This was restoration. And for the first time in years, I felt like I could breathe without guilt. Winning felt nothing like I imagined. There wasn't a grand celebration, no cinematic moment, just silence. A quiet, strange peace. After the ruling, I walked through the front door of my father's house, my house now, and stood in the living room where we used to watch football together. The dust hung in the light like memory fragments. Every step echoed louder than I expected. The house was mine, but it still felt like he should be here. Liam was out on bail, waiting for trial. He tried calling me once, left a voicemail saying, "We're still brothers. We can fix this." I deleted it before he finished. You can't rebuild bridges you burned down and danced on. My mother didn't show up at the hearing. She sent a text a few days later. You didn't have to take it this far. Liam's still your brother. That was the part that hurt the most. Not because it surprised me, because it didn't, but because it confirmed what I always suspected. She saw Liam as the broken one who needed saving, and me as the one who could afford to bleed. I didn't reply, but others did. My aunt called and apologized. A few cousins reached out to say they were wrong to believe Liam's version. Some even offered to help clean up the house, get it ready again. I said thank you. Not because I needed their help, but because it felt good to be seen. I spent that weekend tearing down the rotted porch Liam had let fall apart. As I ripped out each plank, I felt like I was digging out pieces of the past. Every lie, every debt, every time I chose silence over self-respect. Justice didn't feel like a victory parade. It felt like clarity, like healing, and finally, like freedom. I kept the house, but I didn't keep everything in it. Some things had to go. The couch where Liam used to crash for weeks. The liquor cabinet he'd raided more than once. The photos that showed smiles I now knew were fake. I donated what I could, burned the rest. Then I took a deep breath, walked through each room, and decided what parts of this place still felt like home. I remodeled slowly, not to erase the past, but to reclaim it. I turned Dad's old study into a quiet reading room, refinished the wood floors with my own hands, planted a small garden out back where his toolshed used to be. I didn't just want this house to look different. I needed it to feel like it belonged to someone who had survived something. Liam's trial is still pending. The charges are serious: forgery, fraud, and insurance theft. I haven't spoken to him since the day in court. He tried again. Another voicemail. I messed up. I was desperate. You don't have to forgive me, but please don't let them put me away. I didn't respond. Not out of spite, out of self-preservation. Some doors, once shut, should never be reopened. As for my mother, we're cordial, distant. I visit on holidays, call when I have to. But I stopped trying to win her understanding. Some people only see what they want to see. and I've stopped bleeding myself dry to make them look closer. I live a quiet life now, stable, peaceful, mine. I've rebuilt not just the house, but myself, stronger, wiser, unwilling to carry what isn't mine. And when people ask if I regret taking Liam to court, I tell them this: I didn't destroy my brother. He destroyed our bond. I just finally had the strength to stop pretending that wasn't true.